Safe to say that there's a panel of 24 judges. They're broken up into teams of 3. So every submission is judged by a team of 3 judges. So it's not just one person, it's not just their subjective opinion. They're judged by a team of 3. So firstly, the judges judge independently. So they don't know who else is in their team, they've got no idea, they just judge it themselves. Then they come together on judging day and discuss their findings with the rest of their team. Now, sometimes they all agree, and sometimes they don't, and that's when it's really great that they get together and the fireworks that can happen in that briefing. It's because they're all very dedicated industry professionals, and yeah, if they have a disagreement about who should be the winner, we sit there until they thrash it out. And if after time discussing it, going through each submission, looking at all the questions, talking to Ian, talking to the independent auditor, checking about particular rules with myself, if they still then cannot agree, then it goes to another team who judges the whole category again from scratch. And at Nationals, I think a couple of years ago, it went to a 3rd judging team, because the judges, they take this role very, very seriously, and if they are not willing to stake that I can confidently say that this is the winner of this category, then they step away and they say we cannot reach a decision. It's going to the next judging panel. The panel of judges is appointed by the Tourism Industry Council in consultation with the Chair of Judges and with industry. We're open to, sometimes people approach us and say, look, I'm interested in judging, this is my background, this is why I'm interested, would you consider me? Other times it's a case of us putting the hard word on people. It is a big undertaking, they do give up a lot of time. It's not just reading the submissions, it's then providing feedback, it's then coming to the judging day, and for the vast majority of them, they take this on in addition to their day job. So they're judging before work, after work, in their lunch breaks, late at night. It's a juggling act for them, and they do this because they're dedicated industry professionals, and this is their contribution to tourism. They are all required to sign a confidentiality agreement, and within that, it states that they have disclosed any conflicts of interest, real or perceived. There is actually a copy of the conflict of interest form here if anyone's interested to see the detail of it. It has been developed by the Northern Territory Government on behalf of all of the states and territories. The Australian Tourism Awards, of which the Tasmanian Tourism Awards kind of fits into, it's a collective where we all get together every year, we discuss changes to criteria, we discuss the rules, we discuss the categories, and of course we all have to agree so that we can have this process where the Tasmanian Tourism Award winners can then go on to be finalists in the national awards. It wouldn't work at all if every state and territory had their own rules and their own formatting guidelines and different criteria. So it's a very democratic process where we literally do vote on changes. After deliberations and discussions this year, it was decided that we needed to review our confidentiality agreement just so that it had a little bit more legal grounding behind it, and the Northern Territory were kind enough to offer to do that on behalf of all of the states and territories so that each awards owners group wasn't actually having to go and pay for independent advice. So that was very generous of them. Next. Okay, so the judging process, they judge online. So you guys submit your submissions and they review them online. They've got 2.5 weeks to log in to review their submissions. They can only see those categories allocated to them and those submissions within those categories. Then, like I said, they get together, they discuss their scores and findings. Submissions must receive a benchmark score of 70% to be declared a winner. So this makes sure that it kind of maintains the integrity of the Tasmanian Tourism Awards, that in the cases where there are some categories where there's just one entrant, they don't automatically become a winner. They still have to meet a minimum standard to become a winner. And like I said, the entire process is overviewed by an independent auditor. So they look at everything. They can log into the back of e-awards, they see all the scoring, all the comments, they look for inconsistencies, and then if there are any, they have discussions about that on the day with the judges. All of the judges judge differently. Some of them are harder markers, some of them are easier markers, but at the end of the day, it's about where they rank. So one judge might be an easier judge and they say, okay, this one's got 95%, this one's got 80, this one's got 70. And another one might say, okay, well, this one's got 80, this one's got 70, and this one's got 50. But at the end of the day, they can still happily say, this one is the winner, this one is second, this one is third. Okay, so if there aren't any questions about the judging process, I'm going to hop on to mentoring. We trialled this last year and it was very successful. We had a limited number of places, and of those that participated, all of them managed to improve their submissions through the process. They submitted their submissions early and got them reviewed by mentors. The mentors provided them with a feedback report, which is similar to the report that you get from the judges after you've completed your entry. And so then they were able to incorporate the feedback from this mentor before submitting the final entry, and all of them managed to increase their score from it. So all of them managed to get valuable feedback from the mentor, which helped them develop a better submission. So we're offering it again in 2012. It's going to be a slightly different format. It's going to be open to everyone. So you need to make sure you get it all done early, because only completed submissions can be put in for mentoring, because obviously if a mentor receives a submission that's 40 odd pages, they're not seeing what the final product would be. So they could be providing feedback on something which ultimately would end up being edited out or cut. So you need to have your submission completed 100% as you think you would submit it. Put that in for the mentor to review. Yep, Trina?
Each business had more than one?
Yes, it's a $50 per submission. So if you have submissions in multiple categories, you can have all of them reviewed if you like. The $50 per submission fee, that is going straight to the mentor, and we are very lucky. Our mentor is a Tourism Awards guru. She's been involved with the Nationals for a very long time. She has actually written most of the criteria and categories nationally. She's had a lot of involvement and has significant experience. So she's substantially cut her fee for us to be able to offer this as just her contribution to the Tourism Awards. So we are very, very lucky.
So there's only one person?
Yes, one person is spending a week and all she is doing is reviewing submissions. Probably no one you know. She's based in New South Wales. So she will also have the added benefit of she is going to know nothing about any of your businesses, like many of the national judges will have no previous knowledge.
Okay, so she's not Tasmanian?
Nope.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yep, she's not Tasmanian, so she's going to be able to give you feedback as from a national judge perspective of, like Ian said, someone from Northern Territory who doesn't know where Bruny Island is. Probably barely knows where Tasmania is.
Because last year, there was when I got one back, there was very little negative suggestions, or it was all, this is wonderful. Well, no, it wasn't. Really, it wasn't. But, so it's more helpful, I think.
Yeah, and the brief is very much going to be critical. So if you're putting your submission in for mentoring, be prepared, because it's not all going to be champagne and roses. The brief has been pretty much pulled them to shreds, because my feeling and Ian's feeling is that's where you get the benefit. It is not helpful if someone tells you how brilliant it is. It's helpful where they tell you where you can improve.
And I've found this year, because we've actually done a review of some submissions afterwards, when we talked about this one person doing them all, there was this fear of how are they going to get time? But you're not actually judging. And I've found now I can go through a submission reasonably quickly, and as you're looking for it, you start to say, where's this, why isn't that there, what's this doing, what's that? And you get through it reasonably quickly to a point where you can provide that feedback and you can respond very quickly. I think the task of judging, I think you become far more conscious of spending valuable time and going through it piece by piece. But when you're doing that mentoring program, I think you know what you're looking for. So I think they can get through it reasonably quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Cass, just to confirm, you said it's open to everyone, so you're not going to do your shut-off like you did last year?
No, last year we were reliant upon volunteers, past Tasmanian Tourism Award judges who volunteered their time, and therefore they could only commit to doing a certain number. this mentor is obviously, because she's being paid for it, she's committed to doing as many as we receive. Ideally, I would love it if every entrant in the Tasmanian Tourism Awards made the most of this opportunity, but I know when it gets close down to it, people, you just don't get finished in time sometimes. But I would urge everyone to put those dates in your diary and plan to have your submission completed by the 27th of August so that you can get the most out of this opportunity.
So how do you put your name down?
Send me an email. Just send me an email, yep. And then on Monday the 27th of August, you email me your submission.
Or beforehand.
Or beforehand, if it's done beforehand, but I'm a realist.
I'm confident that we're finished.
Is it an hour session? So is she reading it?
She reads it and provides a feedback report, which you'll get by the Friday. So basically,
face-to-face?
no, it's not a face-to-face. It's a feedback report like you get from the judges. So you put your submission in to me on the Monday. She spends the week reviewing all of them, and then on the Friday you get your feedback report, and then you've got a week and a half before final submissions are due to incorporate any changes and use that feedback. There's going to be more about the mentoring. I'll be reminding everyone along the way with regular updates through the Awards Advance e-newsletter and also through Facebook. If anyone hasn't liked the Tasmanian Tourism Awards on Facebook yet, get onto it. Okay, I'm going to be really brief on the rules for entry because you can download the rules from the website. I think most of you are probably pretty familiar, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. For people that are new, you're going to open that rules for entry document and go, oh my God, these guys are pretty anal. But it's really because we've had to be creative because entrants have been creative and because the judges are only human and they don't want to read 8-point font for thousands and thousands of pages. And then, of course, when you limit it to 30 pages, then people get really creative with margins and different things. So the more creative entrants get trying to squeeze more information in, the more rules we have to put in place to keep it fair and even and preserve the judges' sanity. So my main points are make sure that you enter the category that best reflects your business. It's rare, but occasionally businesses do enter categories which they're not actually eligible for. So you've got to read the criteria closely. And then if you're not sure, talk to myself and Ian. There'd be nothing worse than starting to write your submission and putting all that time and effort into it and then getting partway through and thinking, oh, I'm not sure if I'm eligible for this. And then having to either change categories or even worse still, you put your entry in and it gets to the judging panel and then they decide, no, you're not eligible and you get disqualified. So if you're at all unsure, now's the time to ask.
And it's not easy to change entries. If you're halfway through and you go back to the questions for the one that you might choose to change into, and the questions look the same, I can guarantee you there will be subtle differences. And if you cut and paste and drop it in, it'll be wrong. The judges will go through it, it just won't be the correct answer for the question. So you've got to be really careful.
Yeah, and just do read the rules for entry really closely. Every year there's always a number of submissions that get penalty points applied. So just read them carefully.
It's on that. We got the mark. I got with the marks on it, but you just don't know whether you had penalty.
It tells you if you did. Yeah, if you did, it told you. Okay, basics of a cover page. You have 30 pages of which the cover page is not one. So when you have your PDF final version, it's 31 pages. So 1 page of cover page, 30 pages of submission. You can make it as pretty or as plain as you like. It has to be A4, it has to have the name of the entrant, the category you've entered, the awards program you've entered, so the 2012 Tasmanian Tourism Awards, and an image which is reflective of the product you're entering. As per...
Are you dropping
Well, yes, the individual categories are still open for nomination, so if someone wants to nominate me, that'd be great.
You can still have multiple photos on the images?
Yes, you can. Yeah, like I said, you can get as creative with graphics as you would like. There's no requirement to do so, but if you'd like to do that, that's fine. But there has to be an image. The judges have to get some sense of what it is you're actually entering. 12-point font, Times New Roman, Arial, or this year you may also have Calibur after discussions with my other coordinators around the country, the feedback from the judges was that Times New Roman is a bit boring and bland and old school, and some people wanted to get a bit more creative, so we've allowed Calibur this year as well. 1.5 line spacing, 30 pages maximum, and when you upload your PDF to eAwards, it needs to be 20 meg or under. Which it's very easy to do, just use lower resolution images. You don't need to have ultra high quality images in your submission. They are only going to be viewed on screen. So it's not like they're going to be printed off and they're going to be fuzzy or blurry. They're only going to be viewed on screen, so you don't need to have that high resolution. And it can be frustrating with the judges, as we did find out some of them were reviewing using laptops, using some of them judged from remote areas and were trying to access and download these submissions, and some of them were taking 10 minutes to open because they were such huge file sizes. Okay, the layout, so you need in your submission, you state the question and then the answer, not just writing question 1A and then answering it. You need to state question 1A, provide a general overview of blah, blah, blah. This is for the judges. Okay, they don't want to have to say question 1A, what was that again, and look over here to the criteria and then come back to the submission and see if the answers reflect what the question was. For their ease, as they are all generous volunteers, this is the layout they prefer. Okay, changes for 2012. Everyone grab your pencils. There are no restrictions on the number of tables. So previously, you are not allowed to have 10 pages or more of tables. Now, the feedback from the judges have been that they like tables. Tables make it easy for them to interpret data. And there are some questions that really just lend themselves to answers in tables, and we'll get to that a bit later. There are no hyperlinks. If you do include a hyperlink in your submission, the judges will not click on it. They will all be briefed that they will not follow it. So don't think that you can be creative and upload your entire business plan to your website and just have a hyperlink as an answer to a question. You won't get any marks because the judges will not click on it. The problem with the hyperlinks is that it's really getting around the rule of 30 pages. If you're relying on the judges to go to a website and read content that's on a website, then yeah, it's tantamount to having appendices. Okay, and I've already touched on that you can now use Calibur font should you desire. The questions have changed in every single category, so make sure you have the 2012 categories and criteria. Don't use 2011, and do not copy and paste, as Ian has touched upon. Every year there will be an entry and it will answer the wrong questions. It just happens, whether people cut and paste or whether they don't realise or they've got last year's criteria. So make sure you've got 2012 and that you read all the questions. Some of the questions, it's a subtle change, a couple of words that have changed the emphasis of the question, and then for other questions, some have gone completely or new ones have come in.